I've spoken with a few prospective clients who have felt bad for Depuy and Johnson & Johnson. They thought the corporations had good intentions with these recalled hips, and just all of a sudden found out these hips were bad and immediately recalled them. However, that couldn't be further from the truth. These major corporations put profit over the safety of the patients. Numerous times these corporations were warned that the Depuy ASR hips were defective, but rather than pull them off the market and warn the patients who already had them implanted, Depuy and Johnson & Johnson decided to ignore it, cover it up, and blame the doctors for these defective product failures. In the US, we have an FDA reporting system to report product failures, and it has always been known to be susceptible to severe underreporting. Even with that, in 2007, over 100 FDA reports were made regarding individual ASR device failures. In 2008, there were over 200 reports, and in 2009, over 300 reports. Over 90% of those reports required replacement of the Depuy ASR devices. However, Johnson & Johnson and Depuy chose to ignore these reports as just individual problems, rather than looking at the big picture of this data. Australia and several other countries around the world, they have a registry system where it's mandatory to report device usage and its failures. As early as 2005 and 2006, the National Australian Registry indicated that the ASR devices were performing poorly. Depuy and Johnson & Johnson merely explained away the result by stating that it takes time for surgeons to gain experience in placing the product. In 2008 and 2007, the ASR devices were indicated as failing at a statistically high rate. But again, Depuy and Johnson & Johnson took no decisive action. In 2009, after significant bad press in the Australian medical community, Depuy and Johnson & Johnson decided to withdraw the ASR products from the Australian market only. They probably hoped that the rest of the world wouldn't catch on. The Depuy ASR, which is in the hands of multiple surgeons throughout the world, has been shown to be associated with the high rate of complications, and particularly these pseudotumors. For example, Dr. Tony Nargle, a prominent surgeon in England, unfortunately put in quite a lot of ASRs and noticed nasty complications with these products. He has ceased using the ASR device. Before using the ASR device, Dr. Nargle used the BHR device, which is made by a different manufacturer than the ASR. He implanted hundreds of the BHR devices starting in 2002 and reports having no patients with pseudotumors, and also reports those hip devices functioning extremely well. On the other hand, Dr. Nargle reports that 60 different patients that he implanted with the ASR device have already been found to have pseudotumors. Dr. Nargle reported problems with the ASR device being associated with pseudotumor development in 2008, and Depuy and Johnson & Johnson simply responded that it was due to surgical error. Yet again, they turned their backs on significant negative data. Depuy and Johnson & Johnson have been aware of the problems associated with the ASR device, and yet they waited for years to take action. I've spoken with numerous clients who would have had better follow-up treatment or never would have been implanted with these defective devices in the first place if these corporations would have simply taken action earlier. Rather, Depuy and Johnson decided to put profit over safety.